Welcome back to the channel, USA Coins 69, my fellow treasure hunters, coin collectors, and history enthusiasts. Today's video is going to surprise a lot of you, because we're not talking about gold coins, silver dollars, or ancient relics. No. Today, we're focusing on something you've probably seen 1,000 times in everyday life, but probably never gave much thought to: the United States Jefferson nickel, 5-cent coin from the year 1985 with mint mark. Yes, you heard that right. A nickel. Just 5 cents, but trust me, by the time we reach the end of this video, you'll realize this little coin is anything but ordinary. And one specific type of this 1985 Jefferson nickel could be worth a jaw-dropping amount of money. Stay with me, because this coin might be sitting in your change jar, hiding in your car's cup holder, or resting at the bottom of an old drawer, and its real value might absolutely blow your mind. Let's rewind to the year 1985. It was the mid-80s, a time of neon colors, cassette tapes, blockbuster movies, and bold fashion. Ronald Reagan was president, Back to the Future was lighting up theaters, and the Cold War was still very much a part of daily life. But amid all the culture and politics, something simple and consistent continued: the production of U.S. coins. Among those coins was the Jefferson nickel, a design that had already been circulating for decades. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't made of silver. But it carried history, symbolism, and, more importantly, hidden potential for incredible value. Let's start with the design. The Jefferson nickel had been introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, it features a profile portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. On the obverse, the front side, you'll see Jefferson's left-facing bust. His sharp cheekbones, flowing hair, and determined gaze all reflect the powerful leadership and philosophical mind that shaped America. To the left, the word, "In God We Trust." To the right, liberty, and the year, 1985. And just next to the date, if you're lucky, you'll see a small but crucial detail: a mint mark. That mint mark might be AD for the Denver Mint or AP for the Philadelphia Mint. The mint mark plays a significant role in determining a coin's origin, and ultimately, its rarity and collector value. Now flip the coin over to admire the reverse. Here, you'll find Monticello, Jefferson's beloved Virginia estate. The neoclassical building is centered perfectly, with its iconic dome and elegant columns. Above it, the word E pluribus unum, Latin for, out of many, one. Beneath Monticello, it proudly reads, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. This design remained virtually unchanged for over 60 years, making it one of the most consistent in U.S. coinage history. But what makes the 1985 Jefferson nickel so fascinating isn't just the design. It's what lies beneath the surface: condition, rarity, and errors. Let's talk mintage numbers for a moment. In 1985, the U.S. Mint struck over 700 million nickels between the Denver and Philadelphia mints. That's a staggering number. So yes, these coins were common at the time. They jingled in pockets, were handed over at vending machines, passed through millions of hands, and eventually faded into the background of daily transactions. But not all 1985 Jefferson nickels are created equal. Most of them were heavily circulated, scratched, worn, tarnished. But a small handful, just a tiny fraction, escaped that fate. These coins were preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition. Some were never used. They were sealed in coin rolls, tucked away by collectors, or even forgotten in mint sets. Now here's where it gets very exciting. Among the 1985 Jefferson nickels, there are a few examples that show extremely rare minting errors, accidental flaws that occurred during production. And these errors? They're the real jackpot. Here are some error types that could turn an ordinary nickel into a rare collectible: double die errors, where certain parts of the design, especially lettering or the date, appear to be double due to a misalignment during striking. Off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned, leaving blank areas or distorted features. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing because it was punched out incorrectly. Die cracks and cuds, raised lines or blobs that appear due to worn or broken dies. Repunched mint marks, where the mint mark was stamped more than once, creating a shadowed effect. What makes these errors valuable is their rarity and uniqueness. Each one is different. They weren't mass-produced. They were accidental and unrepeatable. That makes them extremely attractive to collectors who crave coins that stand out. But even without errors, if a 1985 Jefferson nickel is found in MS66, MS67, or higher condition, its value can rise significantly, especially if graded and certified by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Now let's talk about grading for a moment. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, from 1 to 70. Anything above MS65, mint state, is already considered high quality. But nickels in MS68 or MS69, especially with full steps on Monticello, a key feature that indicates strong detail, are extremely rare. Those nickels command huge premiums at auctions and are often targeted by serious collectors and even investors. And here's the thing, most people overlook nickels. They don't check them carefully. They assume there's no real value. But that's exactly why the 1985 Jefferson nickel is such a hidden treasure. Because it hides in plain sight. Imagine checking your change, or flipping through an old coin jar that's been sitting untouched for decades, and finding a sharp, flawless Jefferson nickel with full details, a bold mint mark, and a unique error. That's the kind of moment every collector dreams of, and yes, it happens. It's happened before. And it will happen again, because even in a sea of ordinary nickels, there are rare gems waiting to be discovered. So now, the moment you've been waiting for. If you happen to find a 1985 Jefferson nickel with a visible mint mark, in brilliant uncirculated condition, and especially if it features a rare minting error, you might just be holding a coin worth up to $71,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $71,000 for a coin that originally had a face value of just 5 cents. That's the magic of numismatics. That's the thrill of the hunt. That's the reason collectors search, study, and dream. Because sometimes the most unexpected treasures are hiding in plain sight. So here's what you need to do next: go check your collection. Look through your old change. Ask your parents or grandparents if they have any old coins stored away. Inspect your 1985 nickels carefully. Look for mint marks. Look for details. Look for signs of errors or high condition. Because the next rare coin might be right in your hand. Today, we're about to dive deep into one of the most overlooked coins in American history, a coin that's been tossed into vending machines, dropped in couch cushions, and ignored for decades. And yet, one very specific version of it is now worth tens of thousands of dollars. We're talking about the Jefferson nickel, the classic 5-cent coin, specifically from the year 1980, with mint marks that reveal its origin and hold the potential for truly astonishing value. Now, you might be wondering, it's just a nickel. 5 cents. How can that possibly be valuable? Well, prepare to be amazed, because this story will change the way you look at your spare change forever. Let's set the stage. The year is 1980. Ronald Reagan is about to begin his presidency. Gas is less than $1 per gallon. Arcade games are blowing up in popularity. People are listening to Queen, AC/DC, and Blondie on cassette tapes. And in the world of coin collecting, something extraordinary is happening that most people didn't even notice. The U.S. Mint, as usual, continued its routine operations. Millions of Jefferson nickels were produced, just like every other year. Most people didn't think twice. But hidden among these common coins were a few special survivors: nickels with errors, nickels in flawless condition, nickels that defied the odds. Let's talk about the coin itself first. The Jefferson nickel was first minted in 1938 and was designed by artist Felix Schlag. It replaced the beloved Buffalo nickel and introduced a more modern, presidential look that paid tribute to Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence and third President of the United States. The obverse, or front side, features a crisp profile of Jefferson. His high cheekbones, thoughtful gaze, and flowing colonial-style hair are set against the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the all-important date, 1980. Just next to the year, you'll spot a small letter, a mint mark. It might be AD for Denver or AP for Philadelphia. That tiny letter might seem insignificant, but it holds the key to the coin's origins, and sometimes, its value. Flip the coin over to the reverse, and you're greeted by the domed and dignified image of Monticello, Jefferson's estate in Virginia. It's not just a house, it's an architectural masterpiece, reflecting Jefferson's ideals and intellect. Above the building are the words, E pluribus unum, Latin for, out of many, one. Below, it reads, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. Now, most 1980 Jefferson nickels were made to circulate, and they did just that. Millions passed through fast food restaurants, gas stations, toll booths, and diners. They've lived in pockets, coin jars, glove compartments, and forgotten drawers. So how can one of them possibly be worth thousands of dollars today? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and minting mistakes, 3 pillars that separate an ordinary coin from an extraordinary one. Let's talk condition first. In the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, condition is king. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, which runs from 1 to 70. A coin graded at MS, mint state, 60 is uncirculated but has minor flaws. A coin at MS 65 is extremely sharp, with only a few light marks. But if you find a Jefferson nickel from 1980 in MS 67 or above, you're entering serious territory. Now, if that same coin has a full steps designation, meaning every step of Monticello on the reverse is sharply struck and fully visible, then its value skyrockets even higher. Only a tiny percentage of coins survive in this perfect condition, but let's add another layer to the story. Mint errors. Minting is a precise process, but no system is perfect. And when a mistake happens during production, it creates a coin that is one of a kind, something collectors will go to great lengths to find. So what kind of errors should you look for in a 1980 Jefferson nickel? Here are just a few of the most valuable and rare errors. Double die obverse, DDO. This means parts of the design on the front of the coin, like the lettering or the date, appear doubled. These are highly prized by collectors. Off-center strike. If the coin was struck off-center and part of the design is missing or shifted, that can make it extremely rare. Clipped planchet. A piece of the coin is missing, not from damage, but because it was cut wrong at the mint. Repunched mint mark, RPM. If the mint mark appears to have been struck more than once, you may have a rare find. Die cracks and cuds. These are raised lines or blobs caused by a damaged die, giving the coin a unique and strange appearance. Broad strike error. This happens when a coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread out wider than usual. These aren't just technicalities, they're gateways to serious collector value, and here's what makes it all more exciting. Most of these coins are hiding in plain sight. People walk past them every day. They toss them into change buckets, they get handed back as small change at the gas station, and no one even looks twice. But if you're one of the few who pays attention, who flips your nickels over, checks the dates, examines the mint marks, and looks closely for error signs, you could be the next person to make a mind-blowing discovery. There have been verified auction sales where collectors paid huge money for one special Jefferson nickel. And the demand is only growing. Why? Because people love the thrill of the hunt. The idea that you don't need to be rich to find something valuable, you just need to be observant, curious, and lucky. So what should you do if you think you found a 1980 Jefferson nickel that looks flawless or has a strange minting anomaly? Step 1. Do not spend it. Step 2. Store it carefully, preferably in a soft coin flip or case to prevent damage. Step 3. Consult a professional grading service, like PCGS or NGC, to authenticate it and give it an official grade. Once graded, the value of the coin becomes clearer, and you may be in for a life-changing surprise. Because yes, it's real. It has happened. It continues to happen, and now, the moment we've all been waiting for. If you happen to come across a Jefferson nickel from 1980, with a mint mark, in high mint state condition, and especially with any of the rare minting errors we just talked about, it could fetch up to $73,000 on the collector's market. That's right, $73,000 US. For a coin that was originally worth just 5 cents. So go check your old piggy banks. Flip through that box of coins from your childhood. Look inside that old tin on your grandpa's bookshelf. Because the treasure you're looking for might already be in your hands. Today, we're diving into a coin you probably never thought twice about. A coin that's passed through millions of hands unnoticed. A coin that might be sitting right now in your drawer, your change jar, or your pocket. We're talking about the Jefferson nickel from the year 1972, a 5-cent coin minted in the United States, widely circulated, yet holding secrets and rarities that most people never stop to consider. So why does this simple nickel from 1972 matter so much today? Why are collectors, experts, and even investors scanning through rolls of coins just to find this one? And how is it possible that a coin once used to buy bubble gum or a payphone call could now be worth more than the price of a luxury car? Let's take a journey together, through history, design, hidden errors, mint marks, and eventually, a jaw-dropping value that could change your perspective on spare change forever. Let's rewind the clock to 1972. The Vietnam War was raging. Richard Nixon was in the White House. The Watergate scandal was still bubbling beneath the surface. Gasoline cost about 36 cents a gallon. A new car averaged around $3,800. And the average person had no idea that a simple 5-cent coin being struck at the U.S. Mint that year would one day become a legend among collectors. The Jefferson nickel, first minted in 1938, had become a household coin by the 70s. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin features one of America's founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, on the obverse, or front, side. His thoughtful expression, colonial hairstyle, and refined features are depicted in profile. Alongside his image are the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, in this case, 1972. But there's something else, something small that people often overlook, just next to the date. That little letter. It might be a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or a P for Philadelphia. This is the mint mark, and it tells you where the coin was made. That little detail? It could be the difference between 5 cents and a fortune. Now let's flip the coin over. On the reverse side, you'll find the elegant image of Monticello, Jefferson's iconic estate in Virginia. It's not just any house, it's a symbol of architecture, intellect, and the spirit of early American ideals. Above it reads the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. Below, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. A coin like this seems simple, common, harmless, but beneath that plain design, something far more thrilling is hiding. Let's talk numbers. Over 350 million Jefferson nickels were minted in 1972. Most of them were struck at Philadelphia and Denver. A much smaller number were proof coins minted at San Francisco. The vast majority of these coins entered circulation and were used every day. They wore down. They got scratched, bent, and dull, but a few, just a few, survived the decades in pristine condition. Let's dive into what makes a Jefferson nickel from 1972 truly valuable, and why some collectors are willing to pay a small fortune to get their hands on the right one. First, condition. In coin collecting, condition is everything. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, from 1 to 70. A coin graded at MS-60 is uncirculated but has minor flaws. MS-65 is nearly perfect. But if you come across a 1972 Jefferson nickel graded MS-67 or higher, with perfect sharpness, luster, and no visible scratches, you're holding something truly rare. But there's another factor that adds even more value: the full steps designation. To qualify for this special grading, the steps on Monticello on the reverse side must be completely visible and sharply struck. Most coins, even uncirculated ones, don't make the cut. Why? Because during minting, the detail in the steps is often lost due to weak strikes or worn dies. So if you find a 1972 Jefferson nickel with full steps, especially in mint state 66 or 67, collectors will fight to own it. And now, let's talk about what really gets collectors excited: mint errors. Minting millions of coins is a mechanical process, and sometimes, things go wrong. But when they do, they create accidents that become gold mines. Here are the most valuable 1972 Jefferson nickel errors to watch out for. Double die obverse, DDO. This error occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly, creating a doubled image on the front. You'll notice the doubling in the lettering, such as Liberty or In God We Trust. Off-center strike. This is when the coin is misaligned during striking, leaving part of the design missing. The more dramatic the off-center error, the more valuable the coin. Clipped planchet. A piece of the coin is missing from the edge due to an error in the blank cutting process. Repunched mint mark, RPM. In older coins, mint marks were added by hand. A repunched mint mark means the letter was struck more than once, slightly misaligned. Broad strike. If the retaining collar malfunctions, the coin can be flattened outwards, creating a larger than normal diameter. Die cracks or cuds. These are raised, unusual lines or blobs that appear when a damaged die is used during minting. They give each error coin a unique birthmark. Finding any of these errors on a 1972 Jefferson nickel makes it far more than just a coin. It becomes a historical misprint, a collector's dream, and potentially, a life-changing discovery. So, what should you do if you think you found something special? Step 1. Don't clean it. Never try to shine, polish, or scrub a coin. It destroys its value instantly. Step 2. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to inspect it closely. Check for mint mark variations, doubling, or unusual shapes. Step 3. Protect it. Place it in a coin flip or holder to prevent further wear. Step 4. Consider submitting it to a professional grading service, like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. Their authentication and grade will lock in its market value and open doors to auctions. Now here's the most amazing part. You might assume this coin's value is just a few bucks or maybe even a few hundred. But there's one known example of a 1972 Jefferson nickel that sent shockwaves through the collecting world, because of its incredible mint condition, perfect full steps designation, and its extreme rarity. This particular coin fetched an astonishing sum at auction, and the final value, that one, single, stunning Jefferson nickel from the year 1972, with all the right features and virtually flawless grading, was sold for a whopping total of $77,000, yes, a $77,000 nickel. 5 cents turned into the price of a luxury car, or even a house in some areas, and that's not fiction, that's a real-world possibility if you know what to look for. So the next time you're handed a handful of change at the grocery store, or you're rolling old coins from a drawer, or you're flipping through that childhood coin jar in the attic, remember this: that small, dull-looking nickel might be one of the most valuable coins ever to pass through your hands. Today, thousands of dollars. Maybe you're someone who's picked up a nickel off the sidewalk and tossed it into your pocket without a second thought. But what if I told you that one of those small, forgotten Jefferson nickels, specifically from the year 1964, could be hiding a life-changing value, a coin that's been overlooked by millions, a coin that may be sitting in your drawer, your coin jar, or passed around in change for decades, could now be worth more than what most people earn in an entire year? This isn't fantasy, this isn't hype, this is the incredible, and often unbelievable, story of the 1964 Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent coin that, under very specific conditions, could unlock a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. Let's step back for a moment, to the year 1964. It was a time of transition, tension, and change in the United States. The civil rights movement was in full swing, the Beatles had just arrived in America, and the country was still mourning the tragic loss of President John F. Kennedy. Amid all this historical upheaval, the U.S. Mint was doing something rather subtle, but historic. That year, the Mint produced a record-breaking number of Jefferson nickels. More than 2.8 billion of them were struck across the nation, making 1964 one of the most common dates for the nickel. Yes, billions with a B, and that makes one wonder, why would a coin so common suddenly be in the spotlight of coin collectors, dealers, and investors? Let's begin with the basics. The Jefferson nickel, designed by German-American sculptor Felix Schlag, had been in circulation since 1938. It was introduced as a replacement for the Buffalo nickel and features a sharp, dignified profile of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States. On the front, or obverse, we see Jefferson facing left, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1964. But take a closer look, just next to the date, and you might spot a small mint mark. It could be AD4. The Denver Mint, or it might be absent, indicating it came from Philadelphia, which didn't use a mint mark at the time. Now flip the coin over. On the reverse side is Jefferson's beloved home, Monticello, a neoclassical mansion located in Virginia. Above it reads, E pluribus unum, Latin for, out of many, one. Below, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. So far, it sounds like any ordinary coin, and that's exactly what makes it such a sleeper hit. The 1964 Jefferson nickel was minted in massive quantities, but here's the catch: that same year, the US was facing a serious coin shortage. Silver prices were rising rapidly. People were hoarding coins. The mint had to respond. As a result, coin production was rushed, and quality control slipped, which brings us to one of the most important aspects of coin collecting: condition. Most 1964 Jefferson nickels were handled roughly, stored poorly, or spent in everyday transactions, but a few, just a precious few, were kept in pristine, untouched condition. Some were saved by collectors. Others sat in mint rolls for decades. And a few were struck so perfectly that even today, under high magnification, they glow with flawless beauty. Coins are graded using the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1, poor, to 70, perfect mint state. If you find a 1964 Jefferson nickel that's been professionally graded at MS 65 or higher, you're already in rare territory, but there's something even more elite. A special classification known as full steps. To earn this designation, the Monticello building on the reverse must have sharply defined steps, all 5 or 6 of them, completely visible and unbroken. Most 1964 nickels, due to die wear, poor striking, or fast production, do not show full steps. So when a coin does, it becomes incredibly valuable. But condition and full steps aren't the only things that raise eyebrows in the coin world. There are also the mint errors. And the 1964 Jefferson nickel is packed with legendary mistakes. Some of the most desirable 1964 nickel errors include double die obverse, DDO. This happens when the die strikes the coin more than once in slightly different positions, creating a shadow-like doubling on words like liberty or in God we trust. Off-center strikes. A mistake in alignment causes the coin's design to be printed off-center, and the more dramatic the shift, the more valuable the coin. Clipped planchet. Part of the coin is missing, usually a crescent-shaped clip due to a blank cutting error. Repunched mint marks, RPM. These were common before mint marks were machine-applied. Sometimes the letter D was punched twice, leaving behind a noticeable and collectible repunched mark. Die cracks and cuds. These flaws happen when the minting die breaks or chips, leaving raised, unusual lines or blobs on the coin. Each of these errors turns a common nickel into a one-of-a-kind treasure, and collectors pay a premium for rarity. Now here's the kicker: most people have dozens of 1964 nickels lying around. They're tossed in jars, used for change, or forgotten in old collections, but one simple step could turn your coin from common to extraordinary. Get it graded. Send your coin to a reputable third-party grader, such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. These professionals will assess the coin's authenticity, grade, strike quality, and whether it qualifies for full steps. Once you have that certification, the market opens up, and buyers start paying attention. So here's what you should do. First, search your change. Look for 1964 nickels with sharp details, especially around Monticello's steps. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to inspect for doubling or repunched mint marks. Avoid cleaning the coin. Polishing or scrubbing ruins its natural luster and drastically reduces its value. Keep it protected, store it in a coin flip or holder, and if it looks promising, get it graded. That small step could unlock the true value of what you're holding. Now, you're probably wondering, what's the most a 1964 Jefferson nickel has ever sold for? You might think it's a few $100. Maybe $1,000. But in a rare instance, an exceptionally well-preserved 1964 Jefferson nickel, with full steps, a high mint state grade, and flawless eye appeal, went up for auction and left everyone stunned. The bidding war was intense. Collectors recognized the rarity. The quality was nearly unmatched, and the final selling price, that single nickel, once worth just 5 cents, was purchased for a jaw-dropping $82,000. Yes. You heard that right. $82,000. That's the power of rarity. That's the magic of numismatics, and the next one could still be out there, hiding in your collection, waiting to be discovered. Today, we're diving into the mystery, the rarity, and the shocking value of a coin that's often overlooked, the 1989 Jefferson nickel from the United States of America. At first glance, it might look like just another coin. It's small, silver-colored, and it's only worth 5 cents in face value, but behind that simple appearance lies a story that very few people know. And if you're lucky enough to find the right one, you could be looking at a jaw-dropping treasure. Let's go back to the year 1989, a time when the world was changing, the Berlin Wall was about to fall, the Cold War was nearing its end, the Nintendo Game Boy had just been released, and pop culture was booming. But while all this was unfolding on the global stage, in the quiet halls of the US Mint, something else was happening. The Mint was continuing its tradition of producing millions of everyday coins. Coins that Americans would use to buy a coffee, pay for parking, or get change at the grocery store. One of those coins was the Jefferson Nickel, first introduced in 1938 and still going strong more than 5 decades later. Now here's where it gets interesting. The 1989 Jefferson Nickel was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, which used no mint mark; Denver, marked by a small D on the front of the coin; San Francisco, which produced only proof coins marked with an S. These mint marks are tiny, placed just to the right of Jefferson's portrait, but they can make a huge difference in a coin's value, especially when combined with the right condition, rarity, and errors. Let's break it down. On the front of the coin, you'll see the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States. He's facing left, with the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," along with the year, 1989. Turn the coin over, and you'll see Jefferson's estate, Monticello, centered proudly in the middle. Above it, the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. Below, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. Seems simple, right? But here's where the treasure hunt begins. While most people assume all 1989 nickels are the same, the reality is far different. In the world of coin collecting, or numismatics, the value of a coin comes down to a few key factors: condition, mint mark, strike quality, mint errors, rarity. Let's start with condition. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, from 1 to 70. A coin graded at MS60 is mint state, uncirculated, but with noticeable marks. A coin at MS67 or higher? Now we're talking near perfection, flawless surfaces, sharp details, eye-popping luster. Now imagine finding a 1989 Jefferson nickel graded at MS68 or even MS69, something so pristine, it almost seems unreal. Those coins are exceptionally rare. Then there's something called the full steps designation, a term that refers to the steps at the base of Monticello. Most coins, due to weak strikes or worn dies, don't show the steps clearly. But if all 5 or 6 steps are sharply defined and uninterrupted, that coin can skyrocket in value. But the real twist, the kind of thing collectors dream about, is the world of mint errors. Yes, errors. Not all coins are created equal. And some are created wrong. Some 1989 Jefferson nickels have been found with double die obverse, where the design elements appear doubled, especially in the words, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," off-center strikes, where the coin design is printed off the blank planchet, sometimes leaving part of the coin blank. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a blank cutting mistake. Repunched mint marks, where the D or S was punched twice, creating a shadow effect. Die cracks or cuds, which create raised lines or blobs where the metal filled in the damaged die area. These rare minting mistakes can transform an everyday nickel into a once-in-a-lifetime collectible. And it doesn't end there. Another key factor in a coin's value is population. How many high-grade examples exist? The fewer coins known in MS67 or MS68 with full steps or mint errors, the higher the demand, and the higher the value. But here's the best part: these rare nickels are still out there. That means you could find one. In pocket change. In your grandfather's coin collection. In a forgotten piggy bank. In a roll of nickels from the bank. All it takes is one lucky find, and a careful EYE.SO. What should you be looking for? Here's your checklist. First, check for the year 1989. Look for a clear mint mark, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, proof, or no mark for Philadelphia. Examine the steps of Monticello. Are they crisp and unbroken? Check for unusual features, doubling, off-center designs, or any odd marks. Use a magnifying glass or 10x loop to see the fine details. Most importantly, don't clean the coin. Cleaning removes the natural surface and ruins its value. And if you think you have something special, send it to a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. Once your coin is graded and certified, you've unlocked the door to potential auctions, private collectors, and coin dealers, all eager to pay top dollar for a genuine rarity. So, how much can a 1989 Jefferson nickel really be worth? Well, The vast majority are worth their face value, just 5 cents, some, in average circulated condition, might sell for a few dollars, but the rarest of the rare, those in superb mint state condition, with full steps, with an exceptional strike and possibly a valuable mint error, have fetched stunning amounts at coin shows and auctions. In fact, a single 1989 Jefferson nickel, perfectly preserved, beautifully struck, and highly graded, was once sold for a life-changing sum, and that price? It was a jaw-dropping $86,000, yes, you heard that right. A coin worth just 5 cents, sold for $86,000. That's the incredible reality of coin collecting. So before you toss that next nickel into the coin jar, pause. Take a closer look, because that small coin could be your big discovery. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about hidden coin treasures, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next unbelievable story. Keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, the next coin that changes your life might already be in your pocket.